Hi guys, welcome to Mr. Cloudbook channel. This is the fourth day of the DevOps Masterclass course. In this video, we will learn these few topics. Very first, we will start with the continuous integration. In short form, we will call it as a CI. So CI means continuous integration. So what are the challenges? Means what are the problems that we face? What if we don't use the CI in our software development life cycle? So if we're not using in the DevOps life cycle, what are the problems we face if we don't use the CI in our DevOps process or in the software development life cycle? So after that, we will discuss about how we can manage CI and why we require CI before going to the continuous delivery or are going to the continuous deployment. So we will also see why we use Jenkins for the continuous integration. Recently we have the GitLab as the continuous integration as well. So we will talk more about in the future about the Jenkins and the GitLab. Let's start with the continuous integration. Before going to the CI, I want to say one thing to you all the guys. So I already created a one website for our users. So the mostly whatever the course or whatever the master class I am explaining in the YouTube, I am uploading every notes in my website. So I will provide the link in the description as well, or you can directly search mrcloudbook.com in the any browser and you will see the interface like this one. So this is my blog and this is the DevOps day 1. So I already added the DevOps day 2 and DevOps day 3 also. And I already adding the blogs for the projects. Please do the projects. If you are learning already DevOps, do the projects. You will get the hands-on experience. And I already made the PPT for this continuous integration. 1 minute. So let's start with the continuous integration. So basically, continuous integration is a process of automated builds and automated tests. So we use the Jenkins or a GitHub Actions or GitLab CA as the continuous integration tools. Nowadays, most of the organizations using the GitLab CI as the continuous integration, but most of the cases, normally 50 percentage, it's most of the persons using the Jenkins as well as the recently upcoming newly startups and everything using the GitLab CI. Let's understand this particular statement. So once again we will discuss. So what is continuous integration? What are the problems we face if we don't use the CI? And how we connect CI with CD and why CD, I mean continuous deploy or continuous delivery requires CI. The tools that we use for the continuous integration. The Jenkins is the mostly used CI tool. I already explained. Nowadays, recently, so many people using the GitLab as well. Suppose our dev team, I mean developer team, and the QA team, I mean quality analysis team, is working on an application, and we have a 10 or 15 developers, and you can say, and the big organizations having most of the 40 to 50 developers. In the startup companies, they have mostly 7 to 8 developers and 2 to 3 platform team like that. But in the example case, we can say any number of developers, but I am saying 15 developers right now in that particular team. So all the developers are pushing their code into the some kind of a central repository or a shared repository called, we use the GitHub or a GitLab, right? So the central shared repository is GitHub, for example. So they are pushing their code to the GitHub. So Jenkins or a GitLab CI or a GitHub Actions, anything, the continuous integration tool is something like, so the tool something like to pull the code that we push it to the shared repository from the central repository, and we have to that automatically, like Jenkins will automatically build it. So when we use the poll SCM, whenever we push new code into that particular shared repository, so it will automatically build it with help of the build tool. So whatever is being used in the development. So if we use either could be, so the developer could use the any language. So any prefer language to develop the application. Some may use the Gradle application, some may use the Maven application, some may use the React.js or Next.js, or some may use the different of languages in the same project. So automatically the CI, the continuous integration tool will pull the code and it will start the building of your application. After the build is successful and executing the tests on that particular build. So after completing the build, so we have to test that code particularly. So this is the continuous integration. So the also the automated test is not a part of the continuous integration. So we already explained right in the yesterday video, the continuation test is not part of the continuous integration. The continuation testing is different and the continuous integration is different. So continuous integration is limited up to automated build. But to extend the continuous integration process, we can include the automated test in the continuous integration. So CI helps us to detect the error quickly and locate them more easily. CI means continuous integration helps us to detect the errors or the bugs, and mostly the errors quickly. We can find the errors very quickly and locate them more exactly. So we can locate them more easily. So we can say that this particular statement like CI help us to detect the errors quickly and locate them more easily is the best statement. So it is the definitely the true statement that we can say, because suppose you are working or you are building your project with the help of the CI in every 2 hours. So or after pushing the code you are using the CI in your projects. Suppose you have your build and your project is building at every 2 hours gap of the time. Suppose you build your project at 2 p.m. today and again it will build at 4 p.m. today. And in the 2 p.m. build, everything was working fine and everything is fine. And at the 4 p.m. build, I mean, like if you build your project at 2 p.m. and everything is working fine, but at the 4 p.m. build, I mean, like when you are testing at the 2 p.m., everything is working fine. But when you are testing, or like when you are building your code and then you are building your application, you are getting some kind of error. So you have to look out the changes that done after the 2 p.m. build. So you have to look into the changes that done after 2 p.m. build, because our 2 p.m. build is succeeded. But whatever the changes we made after the 2 p.m. are will be done in between the 2 p.m. and 4 p.m. We are getting or we are locating some kind of errors and we have to resolve them. So the continuous integration help us to find the errors quickly and locate them easily. That's why we need to build or we need to do CI for every 2 hours or whenever we push the code. So it will find the errors more quickly. So that's the use of the continuous integration. Basically, CI is not about to resolve the bugs or errors. It's all of our to find the bugs more quickly in your build pipeline or in your automated build. Let's start and discuss about the challenges which any software organization will face if they are not using the continuous integration. Let's talk about in a simple way. I will explain what will happen if we don't use the continuous integration in our organization. So the first set is all about the developers. So with the developers, they basically do the frequent changes in our source code repository or in the source code. And after they do some changes and they maybe add some new features. After some particular period of time, these changes will be pushed to our central repository and they will be merged to our master branch of the particular project. So this is the first point. And after that, your project will be built every night. So when we don't use the CA, so the project will be built at every night or once in a week uh, within the master branch. And once you will build your project, you will get a lot of defects. So what happens? If we don't use the CA, so they will start doing the continuous integration like a testing project. Everything will be done at the nights or in the next days or in the next weeks. So sometimes compilation errors or sometimes there could be genuine product failures or a product defects will happen to our product. So if you don't need, so we have to notify the developers, right? Like these are the defects which we are getting in this particular code. But this complete process took 1 or 2 days, because suppose in the today morning the developer pushed the code into the central repository and in the evening, so we in the evening will merge their own branches, like they create a new branches or a feed branches, mean like a future branches, and we will push that particular branch and we will check and we will merge the branch to master branch or with the integration branch. So next day, in the next day, like he build the code and he done the changes everything in the one day, like yesterday, and I am building the code today, so I am executing it. So your build lives, I mean like your build goes on live, and your automated build, and your build took around 4 to 6 hours. So it will take minimum 4 to 6 hours to execute, and after that you will get result. So if you get result after 6 hours, the complete process is a very time taking, and it is difficult to manage that particular process, right? So if we do 6 hours of continuous integration test, how the developer will know, right? What are the errors, what are the defects I am getting about the code? So if I have to do the new work or a new sprint, or I have to go with the old ones, so he will get be confused. So it will also impact your releases. So because it is putting a significant delay in your release process, so this is the problem we will face if we are not using the continuous integration. The developers are being informed about the bugs or the defects lately, so they are not getting any complete on-time report for the bug source code. The merge of the developer source code with the integration branch may basically release the compile time errors or a merge conflicts. That's why we have to use the continuous integration in our organization. It is impacting the release life. It is impacting the release life cycle, and it is putting a significant delay in your product release. So this is the issue which company was facing if we are not using the continuous integration. So let's talk what will happen if we use the continuous integration. Then our process would be like this. This is the image of the continuous integration workflow. So a set of a developers so are doing their changes, are writing their code in the source code repository and pushing their code and developing the code in the local and pushing their code to the central repository, and that source code will repository like a GitHub or a GitLab anything, so is basically handled by the Jenkins or a GitLab server. So the code will be pulled by Jenkins or the GitLab CI tool. So the continuous integration server will take and it will do the test. So in the CI server, we are building the product and we are executing the test on that particular product and deploying that particular product build in our test environment or in the production environment for the further use. So since every commit to the source code to the central repository is an auto build is triggered and then automatically deploy on the test server. So there could be an option in the Jenkins or in the GitLab CI when you want to trigger your build. If you want, you can set your build like for every 10 minutes, or you can build for every half an hour, or for every 1 hour or 2 hours, or a particular day, or at a particular time of that particular day. We can set that particular trigger. So suppose you have scheduled your build in every 2 or 3 hours. So now you know that your build will execute at like if you are using and if you are building like if you set your trigger for every 2 hours, and in the morning it will start, I mean it will build at 10 a.m. and whatever the changes you did or whatever changes you did not do, and it will automatically trigger the code and it will build the code at 10 a.m. After the code will build again at 12 p.m. and next to 2 p.m. and 4 p.m. and 6 p.m. like that. So suppose your build executed at 10 a.m. in the morning, right? So after the build, next build will execute at 12 p.m. in the afternoon. So at 10 a.m. the build is successful. All the test cases and the smoke and sanity was done, and the build was deployed on the QA environment for the integration testing or a system testing. Is everything working fine? But at 12 p.m. when the build process again, I mean like when automatically triggers and build and it started executing the code, and you got some error in the compilation. So you need to know, and all the commits which is being done in between are from the 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. in 2 hours between that 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. have some kind of issues. The whatever the changes you pushed into that particular repository, having that code have some issues. A single commit which is done from 10 or 12 p.m. have some code issues. So you can easily find out that culprit code and change, or we can modify that code and issue the code again, like we can push the code again. So this is the process of CA, and it will help us to improve build life cycle. It will make release very fast. So let's understand some benefits of the continuous integration. So we need not to wait for the long time, because all the integration is picked automatically and it will be merged to the master or integration branch. So the CI tool, whatever tool you are using like a Jenkins or a GitLab, so it will take care of the continuous integration process. So this will, like a CI tool, will increases the visibility and greater communication. And we are building our project more frequently with the help of the CI. So we are getting the results more frequently. And if we are using, or if we are getting the gaps, then we can communicate to the developers, the respective teams on a significant amount of time. So the CI will catch the issues very early. So we can talk with the developers. So this is the error that we are getting. So we can replace this particular code and we can we can solve the that particular code or a defect code. So this CI helps to spend less time in debugging and more time adding the new features. We don't need to wait that our code will be work on the production or not. You can get the results in the console. It reduces the integration problems and allowing you to deliver the software more rapidly. So we can release the product or application very frequently with the help of the continuous integration and continuous deployment or a delivery. Now we have to talk about the continuous deployment. So we will talk in a simple way. So how CA requires like a how CD, continuous deployment or delivery requires the continuous integration. So continuous deployment is related to the continuous integration and refers to keep your application deployable at any point of time. So continuous integration works fine, then only continuous deployment will start. That's why the most of the times continuous deployment will depends on the continuous integration only. So it will deploy your application at any point of time. So with the help of this CI, continuous integration, we are building our project, and with the help of this CD, we are building the image. Like we will build the image with a Docker Hub, and we are building that particular application. With this, we are deploying our application on the QA server or staging server or in the production server. So as soon as our build is ready, with the help of the continuous deployment, you can deploy the application on the particular staging or QA environment, or we can deploy the uh, application in the production, or we can do some security tests if we want. So if everything works fine, you can deploy the particular same application on your production server as well. So with the CI, we are building our project more frequently, and with the CD, we are deploying our application more frequently. That's why CD mostly ties with the continuous integration. So I hope you learned about the continuous integration and what are the benefits that we get with the continuous integration, and I will update the notes as well, so no need to worry about it, and this will help you definitely. So what happens if we don't use the CI in our organization? I hope you learned something new from this video. Thanks for watching the video and keep on supporting to Mr. Codebook channel.